Hi, this is Laura with Potpourri of Life. This evening I'm coming from a different perspective, or maybe not. This is pretty much where I am anyway. But this evening I read an article on MedPage, which isn't a source of information that I get a wide range of information. Some I agree with, some I don't. But that's the same way we all feel about many aspects in our world right now where it involves our health. But before I go on, if you have not subscribed yet, please feel free to be sure to subscribe if you're interested. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, make a comment, and share. But if you give a comment, please be kind. Nobody needs to have toxic verbiage out there. We all need to come together and be a unit of people that are trying to be well in an environment that has changed over the last 2 years. So if you haven't figured it out, I've only been on YouTube videos for 2 weeks at this point. So to some, I'm new, but people who know me know that this is something I've been involved in for quite a long time. We're talking 10, 12 years. So I'm a proponent of good health, being responsible for our own health. I do believe we need to communicate with our doctors, and our doctors need to make time for their patients. That's another avenue of healthcare that is changing. They don't have the time, whether it's people above them or they themselves are so burnt out they don't. And then you have some that they want to do so much to help you, yet their workload is overloaded. But that's not what I'm here for. The point that I'm bringing up there is, as a team, patient-doctor, we need to be able to communicate full transparency when you go to the doctor. And the reason I bring that up is because this article I read tonight, it came through my email tonight through MedPage today. And I like this source. It opens my eyes to the views of doctors and nurses and stuff like that. And I've been on this page for a long time, even when I was working in the hospital. So I am not a doctor, though. Okay, I did work in the hospital as an LNA and a CST. I am not a doctor. So I am a consumer. I just want to make that straight out. But my concerns should be a concern of not only the patient, but also the many care providers, whether they're a nurse practitioner, a physician, a physician's assistant, it doesn't matter. This should be a concern for everybody, and people should be made aware of it. So I'm going to do some reading here, and this is an article that says it's high noon for dietary supplements. Okay, you know that I don't like taking dietary supplements because of all the preservatives and things that could be in it. Okay, we already know that. If you listen back to my turmeric ones, you would know. The calcium ones that'll be coming forward soon, if I don't post it before this one, you will hear that, because I know from the research I've done that supplements can have different stuff in them. And what's here in the United States, that same supplement might not be approved in other countries. And so that's always been something where it's like, well, why is that? It should be universal. We should be taking care of the people if people are going to provide not only supplements, but also our medications, all of that. Okay, but now we're talking about dietary supplements. The doctor that wrote this is Peter Lurie, Lurie, and it was published today. It was published yesterday, June 10th, 2022. Okay, and so it's saying, by now calling the dietary supplement marketplace the Wild West has taken on the mantle of hoary cliche, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. What does that mean? That moniker seems entirely appropriate for an industry that has grown from $4 billion in 1994, when Congress clarified the FDA's authority over the products to now $40 billion today. At present, the industry sells some 50,000 products. The FDA estimates their numbers to be what they do is they calculate it to the nearest 10,000. So they're saying 50,000. So it could be 49,950 or something, or it could be 50,105 or something. So 50,000 based on 10,000 increments. Many without any evidence of effectiveness. All right? Some have clear proof of danger. These are the supplements on the counter, over the counter in your stores, in your pharmacies, Target, Walmart, even online. Okay? So some have clear proof of danger in the form of unintended contaminants, pharmaceutical ingredients that presumably were added intentionally, and ingredient quantities that often stray from the labeled amounts. Yet the 1994 legislation sharply curtailed FDA's authorities over these products. Makes you stop and think. I'm not sure why they curtailed them. Maybe so that I can't speculate because I don't know why. According to a recent industry survey, 80% of consumers use dietary supplements, with many recently turning to supplements in response to the COVID. And patients often keep their providers in the dark about their supplement use, as providers also fail to ask their patients. Now, I understand, I get this question all the time. When I go in, the LNA, the MA, or the LPN, they're usually the ones doing the intake. Sometimes an RN will. They go through a list reviewing what you get for medications as well as supplements. Now, they can't add things to this list unless you tell them what you're taking. They legally can't add things to your list. So if they don't have that you take a zinc supplement, how do they know? They don't. So later on in your conversation with your doctor, he or she might be asking you, well, you know what would be beneficial to you is to take a vitamin D. That's what can bring up a conversation where you might say, oh, I already take one. But if it's not on your chart, how are they going to know? And the doctor generally isn't the one who puts the supplements on your chart. Not that I've noticed. Now, the nurse, the LNA, whomever is doing the intake, that is their responsibility. So we need to be transparent when it comes to that, number one. Now, do I always want to tell them no? But I do. Part of the what's on mine, I have like less than a handful of supplements on my chart, because between September through April, I take a zinc supplement. It's just an added benefit for me. And I think there's one other I can't think of that I take during that time. And my husband takes a few like that. All others are herbs. And they have a list of them. And it's a huge list. Mine is. My husband's is little. But we tell them what we're taking. Now, if I just start one today, I might not say anything in terms of the herbs because I'm kind of trying to see how it makes me feel. But generally speaking, they have a list of everything I take because that's our responsibility. Now, they may not have all, they just kind of like say, okay, you're taking this, this, and this for herbs. And oftentimes, the LNA, the MA, the LPN, they don't even know what these are. But they don't consider putting, like I take eggshell calcium. I make those supplements. They wouldn't know how to put it on there. Not that they don't want to. It's because it's not on a checklist that they can check off. Is that negligent of their part? No. The healthcare portal does not have that as an option. So we put it into this one category and they just list it. And that's fine because they at least have it. It's just not in their normal listing of items. But if you're going to the store and you're buying a multivitamin, I'm going to ask you, why are you buying a multivitamin? Are you not eating a well-balanced diet? I think we need to stop and think about this. And I will be transparent here. Long time ago, I ate well. I was taking the supplements because I thought, I was doing everything that I needed to stay healthy. And then one day I walked into my doctor, and this was about 12 years ago. I went in, I talked to her, and I said, Nicole, I just don't know if supplements are good for me. I already eat all these foods that have nutrients in it, and so I stopped taking the supplements. And she says, I'm glad to hear that. She says, because supplements are only meant to be for people who don't get those nutrients or cannot process the food to get those nutrients. Do you know how many people in this world cannot process their foods? I don't know if it's just a handful, but it's not millions of people. What was the number that they said? I don't think it gave us a number. But they said 80% of consumers, 80%. That's 8 out of 10 people are taking all this extra stuff. And how many of them are consulting with their doctors? Okay, then we back up to how much confidence do we have in our physicians? I will be honest, I've let some physicians go. Why? Because they stopped hearing me, or they decided that they were better than me, and they wouldn't listen to me. They just came right out and talked down to me. Some of these are young doctors too, because I've tried some different doctors, and they're all the younger ones too. And there's very few available doctors that are in the older, how do I want to put this? It's old school doctors, where they believe in having a relationship with the patient to get to know them, to take care of them, and bring them to optimal health, okay? In today's medical method, and even though the doctor may want to be a better doctor, be the doctor that I grew up knowing, they can't. They have 20 minutes. And not all doctors only give you 20 minutes. And my specialist doctors at least give me half an hour. And that's a good thing. But my primary care I most recently let go, 20 minutes was all he would give me, even when I scheduled for a 40-minute. And that was part of the reason I let him go. But I had to, because he wasn't listening. Now, I will not mention his name because that's inappropriate. It doesn't matter. But I've heard from other people that are dealing with the same thing, that they're not being heard by their primary care. So you know what's happening? People are going around, they don't have a primary care physician. That is very sad. Because you know what? We all need somebody who knows us and has our corner. So that if something came up, they'll say, oh no. I mean, I know my specialists and even my primary care docs know that I'm not big on pharmaceuticals. Excuse me, I have to hydrate. It's interesting, my kids are on stream and I watch them once in a while, and they have a little button that says hydrate to remind them to hydrate. That watchers do that. I should have that on my YouTube channel. Hydrate. Anyways, it's becoming very difficult to have a primary care physician that we can have a trust relationship. And I think that's why we'll find that more and more people are backing off. And then when COVID hit, this is the first time in my videos I've mentioned the word, partly because it's in this article. We've changed. Patients have changed because of how the healthcare industry changed. Were their intentions good? Maybe initially. But how we have been treated as patients, people don't want to go back. We just don't. And we can go to the place where you walk in. I don't have a problem having questions. But when you walk in there and say it's somebody who doesn't have a mask, they're getting yelled at. And this is at the early stage. But consumers were also being argumentative. So I think there's a defense thing going on there. And that was at the beginning. And now we're at a point where earlier in this year, I walked in because the hospital changed their policy where we have to wear those surgical masks. Surgical masks are not going to keep germs from you. And I can share information on that. But besides that, if people are comfortable wearing those masks, then by all means wear them. If the clinics and the hospitals request that you wear them, we really don't have much choice. But I did call and I asked them, I can't wear those masks. I said, even when I worked in the hospital, it really irritated my face. And I would have to put special cream on. I had to get that from the dermatologist office. And I had to use that. So it cost me to wear those masks. And if you ask some people do end up with acne and other things. But let's move on to the next part where I walked in and I said, yes, I have a mask. I know I can wear one over. But how I was treated was so disrespectful. It wasn't a reflection of my doctor and his team. It was a reflection of the whole organization. 3 months later when I went back, it was better. But she was upset. The girl was still upset. She was holding the mask. I said, I'm not taking that. I'll get a fresh one from the box. Because I don't know where her hands are. There's nobody that's telling me she's washing her hands. None of that. So we need to be an advocate for ourselves. Now, some people aren't going to care. They don't care if it's handed to them. And that's fine, whatever. I care. I make my own masks. I've made my own masks. I still have some. I don't wear them much anymore because I don't go out very often. Even when I do go out right now, the few places I go, it's not crowded. At least not the hours I go. So I'm not really worried about it anymore. And now some physicians, some nurses, and everybody else might be against that. But and I'm not saying that I can't get sick. Everybody can get sick. Let's be real. But so what I did was I called the hospital. I talked to their customer service or whoever was in charge of masks mandate. And I said to them, I explained my situation. I said, is it possible if you require that mask, may I wear my own mask underneath? They said, absolutely. And that's what I did. And I'm glad I did. You know why? Because my mask covers my face more completely than theirs does. And those masks don't cover everybody's face the right way. But that's a personal viewpoint. It's based on what I learned about masks. And I learned a lot when I was working in the hospital, but I also learned more when I made literally hundreds of masks to make sure that they would protect people. And all that work, now everybody's against it, and any of you might be watching might say the same thing. So we went crazy with the mask. We went crazy with this. We have the vaccines. We have pro-vaccine. The world is a mess, okay? But now we have a healthcare system that is backing off, and it's just not the same. It just isn't. And I mean no disrespect. I have no disrespect for any physician or any care provider, no matter if you're an LNA, no matter where you are in the healthcare system. I totally respect you and the job that you're doing. And I know that it's a tough job. Now, in saying that, as consumers, we need to be transparent with them, not in an argumentative way. As providers and caregivers, they need to ask you questions, but they also need to not be argumentative either. Now, I know that doctors that have been in the practice for a long time, I'm sure that they get a lot of kickback from people. I have one doctor that Dave and I see together because we see him similar things. It's an annual appointment that we go in for. And when the virus arrived, we're sitting there wearing the mask, and we were talking about something, and I asked him something, a legitimate question about what was going on. And he was talking to me, and he said, you're the first person. He's not arguing. Anybody who argues with him, he just turns it around to the purpose of their visit. Because you know what? They don't need to be yelled at any more than we want to be yelled at. So now let's get back to the supplements and being transparent with our physicians and nurses, being non-judgmental, and just being totally honest. It goes on. It says, they say a reckoning might loom over the horizon. Every 5 years, Congress must pass so-called user fee legislation. These are fees levied upon the various industries regulated by the FDA that supplement the often meager funds appropriated by legislators. Typically, Congresspeople use this as an opportunity to pursue their other FDA priorities. This year, one long overdue target is the dietary supplement industry. It says here, the FDA doesn't currently have a list that, how does it put it? Because it's kind of mixed in here. They don't have a list that they can police to make sure that these supplements are safe. As you heard me read from above, there could be some pharmaceutical things that are getting in there. There could be other things in those products. And I believe it's in my, I don't know if it's in my turmeric one or if it's in my calcium one. When I talk about, trying to think of the word, proprietary, when a supplement says proprietary blend, it means it's their own concoction, their secret formula. Now, I know I make that sound nasty, and I'm not trying to make it sound nasty. But there are some things that the FDA does not require that they report. So it's very important for you as a consumer, for me as a consumer, to know what's in our products. It's important to know that, if somebody's putting a food coloring, why do they need a food coloring in your supplement? Children's supplements have food coloring, which can cause hyperactivity. Don't believe me? Look it up. Look up all the different supplements that are targeted for children. Now, I never bought my kids gummies. I did used to buy them supplements, and no, it wasn't Flintstones. I didn't buy them. When they were really young, I did do chewables. My middle daughter, who couldn't swallow supplements, I got her a liquid supplement. It's almost like a green drink of some sort. And no, I'm not going to give name brands because I don't want anybody to take out of context what I'm trying to say. So what I used to do, even when my kids were young, I would just look into the products and make sure they were good quality supplements. I had thought about buying products on a large online sales. I don't want to give names because that would be inappropriate. But where they sell it, people in China could copy it. You can research this as well. I talked to somebody who helps people get supplements at one of our local pharmacies. I don't use that pharmacy much anymore because it's in downtown and things have just changed down there in the town. So I just like to stay close to home. And I was talking to her about these different supplements, and she says, be very careful what you buy online. And I said, why is that? And she says, they can copy the labels and they can mimic it, and you might not be getting the supplement that you think you might be getting. Okay, that being said, now what do? You communicate with the people here in the States. You don't have to buy online from retailers who mass sell for multiple companies. And there's a few different places that you can do this with. You can oftentimes connect with that company. Not always, because some of them are finding it easier to do it the other way. But you'll find that there are some really responsible companies out there that provide supplements. And I get a few from some here in the States that provide herbal supplements. And I've asked a lot of questions. I've researched their products. I actually buy some of their dry ingredients. And because of the response that I've had, I am very comfortable with these companies. And I realize some of you might be itching. Why doesn't she tell me? Why doesn't she tell me? Because this is an inappropriate avenue for me to do that based on what I'm talking about today. So please respect me in that regard. Now, the FDA also needs to be alerted to any new ingredients, and they should be added to the database before the products can be altered and sold. Now, in one of my previous videos, I had talked about a migraine medicine. It's actually a supplement that I bought from my husband because he was getting worse migraines than myself. And then the next one we got, the ingredient list was different. They changed it. That's why it's really important to know your source. And it's very important, and I hope that they pass this legislation where they have to put the information into a database before those products can be sold. Because consumers are going on a trust factor that this product worked for me. And then they start not feeling good and stuff like that, months later, maybe a year later, and they don't know why, but they don't stop to think about, well, maybe it's my supplement. What could have changed? If you're not aware of the changes that you are putting into your body, including has there been a change in your supplement, then you won't know why you're feeling the way you are. So please be very attentive to what you're taking. So it says here the bill should also allocate more funding. FDA's beleaguered Office of Dietary Supplement Program should be provided with at least $5 million more per year than appropriated in the bill, as this would bring a level of funding this physician believes to be sufficient to improving the agency's oversight of this sprawling industry. Now, sprawling is an understatement in my opinion. A few years back, I went into a retail department store, and I was just looking for, I don't even remember what I was looking for. And on one aisle, marketed to children, gummies. Now, my first thought when I see gummies, to make it palatable for a child, a gummy is a candy, it's sweet, it has color, and it's sticky. How many parents make their children brush their teeth after they have a gummy? I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that to say they're not being smart. I'm trying to say you have a busy morning. You get your kids off, they take the supplement, and off they go to the school bus, or you take them to the school. You know, we like to say, yeah, the kids went and brushed their teeth, and that may be our rule in the house, but does that always happen? I don't even know the percentage, and I wouldn't even guess. So you have that, and that can cause dental problems when they have sticky stuff on their teeth. They're going to school with it, and their first meal is lunch. And how many kids bring a toothbrush to school? Not very many. Now, if they're in lockdown, they're at home, so I suppose parents can make sure that situation took place. The colors in the supplements. Why do we need colors in these supplements? To get the kids to eat them? The flavors to get the kids to eat them? Now, if it's a natural flavoring, that's fine. But if it's sugar, do we really need to be adding that into the children's supplement? Dietary supplement is to aid in their nutritional needs for their development. That's my own personal viewpoint. My husband and I, like I said, we take a zinc. I've never tried chewing it because I can't imagine it tastes very well. What else? Off the top of my head, I can't think. He takes one extra. I make all the others. And they go into a vegetable type capsule. So today I was making the turmeric, and the capsule fell in the sink, and there was some water in there. It got destroyed because these capsules are made to dissolve once it gets into our bodies. Now my husband doesn't take very many. We have found that there's some things that would benefit his health. He's getting older. I'm getting older. I take a lot because, man, I hate bringing this one up, because of my Lyme disease. I'm doing great because I'm watching myself. Today I was shaky. The brain fog wasn't too bad, but you guys, whoever's watching my videos, might say, yeah, it's a little rough today, Laura. But for the most part, I'm doing okay. And then there was a time today that I was really off in terms of my balance. You don't see it in my videos because I won't allow you to see it. But when I was outside, I was walking through the backyard, checking into the gardens and stuff. I noticed that. So, you know what I do? That's what these supplements and tinctures work towards. My doctors know, and that's all that really matters. For me to list them out to you is unimportant because my health needs should be different than your health needs. But I want to get back to why do we take over-the-counter supplements, which are multivitamins. If you are eating a well-balanced diet with greens, reds, your choice of protein, whether it's animal protein or whether it's protein from our earth, that is your choice. It doesn't matter. As long as you're getting those nutrients through your food, you shouldn't need a multivitamin. I don't know how to get this through, because if there's a virus going around, a multivitamin will not protect you. But a healthy diet that you have control over, what goes into your body. Although sometimes the food sources aren't the greatest, the food might go bad. That goes to my other part of my Potpourri of Health stuff, is preserve your food. Put it in the freezer, whatever. I just, I'm one of those people that I will advocate for health. If supplements were the best thing for us, then yeah. Another thing that's going on right now is the fear of no food, the fear of empty shelves, the fear of prices being so astronomical that people cannot afford it. I will be addressing that in another video. I think we fear-mongered people to the point of poverty. And we need to stop that. And I say that like that because that's how I would tell my kids if they're misbehaving and just kept trying to do something annoying. I would say, stop that. I'm not trying to be a mom to you. What I'm saying is we need to be more alert to what's going on. And why do I know that there's food coloring in supplements? Well, let's take children's supplements for one. My daughter realized that with our grandson, she's trying to find ways to get him to be less, intense with activity. This is who he is. But food dyes can actually make it worse. So what everybody is trying to help her with how she asks us to help her. She loves this kid more than anything. But he exhausts her. So she's doing what she can. And so she called me up and she goes, Mom, I can't find supplements with no food coloring. I said, oh, there's got to be some. And the other one was toothpaste. Why do we have to have food coloring in our toothpaste? Not only that, fluoride can... Okay, here people are going to come in and attack me on fluoride. The calcium I take is through eggshells. That has fluoride in it. I'm okay with that. But this other fluoride, people need to really research. But it's not necessary for your teeth, and they insist on children having it and everything else. So it's in our toothpaste. And it's in all children's toothpaste. But I did find a brand for my daughter. So he has a toothpaste he really likes. And he has multivitamins that he really likes. And so my daughter is not having to worry. She's doing her best. Now, my grandson eats a very well-balanced diet. And my daughter chooses to have a very healthy multivitamin, because even though he eats well, some days he's just picky. I never thought he would be picky. I think he eats really well. But there are moments that he doesn't. And she just wants to make sure that he has all his bases covered. Now, vitamin C, if you take too much vitamin C, it's going to go right through you. If there's stuff like that if you take too much of. So I know that a lot of people picked up taking mounds of vitamin C when the world collapsed around us. That's the way I'm going to say it, okay? I'm not judging anybody on that. My husband and I take supplements that I make. Mine being, I use rosehip powder. Is there a lot of vitamin C in there? Not as much as maybe the supplements claim to have. But the foods I have, that I consume, have vitamin C in it. So I'm not panicking there. Now, zinc I take only because, it's winter time and when people are passing viruses around. So, I think it's all a personal choice. But this article made me realize, in my heart, I need to share what's on my mind. It's kind of cool that I have my own YouTube channel. And if the powers that be come along and shut me down after 2 weeks, and so be it. I am sharing some truth here. But we are also adults who are listening here that can make their own decisions. And you can do research. And you can ask your doctor. Doctors can ask their patients, what are you taking? It's all about communication. If a doctor finds out that, no, don't take that, it will mess up with your medication, it's time to have a conversation. So if you don't want to take your medications, let them know. Some people go off their medications. If you want to take a supplement, let them know. And they need to be asking you as well. I'm going to just see if there was something else. Oh, yeah, I don't want to mention names because he goes on to talk about some other people. And I agree with him to some degree. There are physicians out there, very intelligent physicians, but I don't share a lot of what they say because the bulk of what they email me is as sales for their products. I'm not saying their products are bad. I can't afford them. Oh, even the lime, people send me information about lime and, oh, this guy has this and that. And so the first time I looked at this one particular one, I looked on it and I saw what was in the product because he's very honest in what's in that product. It's all herbs. And I can't take some because I end up getting a rash or whatever the case may be. And that's why it's really important to know your body. You know how when the babies enter our lives, we watch what they eat. We give them one new food at a time, correct? Okay. Well, I'm not an infant anymore. I'm an adult. I've left my mother's house years ago. And so we get into our habits, our bad habits when we leave. And it's like ice cream for dinner. And then later on we start getting smarter and smarter. But we're not so smart that we try one new food at a time. And so I'm finding over the last 10 years that if I try something new, and say then in an hour or a day later I'm having some sort of response, I stop and think, what was different? And then I say, oh, I had this product, or I had this food, or I had this. And then I just watch it. Now, if it's a medication, when I was on Lyme treatment through what I had to be on, because I was going to fight this tooth and nail, some of those medications really wreaked havoc on me. But I would be on it 2 to 4 months. I would put up with it because I wanted to be better. I didn't like feeling the way I did. And that's what he was trying to do for me. Did it work? Yeah, after a couple of years, I was starting to feel a lot better. But I was still having more than a handful of symptoms. So, and I think that's where I became more and more aware of when I try something new. Like when I had goat milk for the first time, I made sure I didn't have any other new item. And I found that, okay, my body can handle goat milk. Yay! So stuff like that. And that's what I learned about my body. And we should all be aware of what we're consuming. And just like supplements, food manufacturers can do the same thing. Just say, for instance, if any of you are in my age group, I'm 61. I'm not 62 yet. It's getting close. If you ever had a Hershey bar when you were a little kid, that was pretty amazing, wasn't it? Today, it's not quite the same at all. And there's a lot more sugar. And So now I consume a certain Bolivian or Belgium dark chocolate. That's my chocolate. And I don't have any response to it. And it is amazing. There's no milk in it. It's amazing. And no, I can't give you that name because I promise no product names right now. Although I did mention Hershey, my apology. But I was doing a comparison of what was and what is. But if you purchase products today, I'm really sorry. It's getting late, and this was something that I wanted to address, so my apologies. I've been trying to hold that yawn back. So be aware of what's out there. And to read this, I was encouraged that this doctor would say this. About 4 years ago, I was talking to my nurse about something, and I told her, I can't, this is what I need to take. I need to order it because I can't get it from here because of it. And she says, yeah, that's happening. So they know this, but I don't think they're in the position. And doctors, you can tell me, nurses, you can tell me if you're watching, you can tell me if this is true. I'm not sure how much that they can share with us because I think they are following guidelines that we as patients can choose holistic measures or natural supplements and stuff. And even though I feel a doctor, and even this article, a physician is writing it, agrees that our physician should be able to tell us what supplement might be beneficial, what nutrient we might be missing that could help. They should be able to help us there. So I don't know what their parameters are, what legal boundaries they have and stuff like that. And so I can't speak for them. All I know is that, like, even when I talk to my 2 specialists, I tell them what I'm taking, this is what I learned, and they'll say, you can do what you want, you've done the research, because they know I'll do the research, and they say, just remember, I am not an herbalist. So they have to say that because they're not. They haven't studied herbs. So, and that's fair. But they're not telling me, no, you can't take that. You need this medication. What they're doing is they see that I am taking a proactive approach to my health. Patients and physicians and nurses and medical staff are also patients. Remember that. We all need to work together to be healthier. Now, this thing with the disastrous effects of the world events in the last 2 years has changed a lot of things. Some patients won't go back to doctors. Everybody's taking care of themselves. But what's happening is there's a lot of bad information out there. And I read a lot of it. And I just kind of analyze it and say, no, that doesn't make sense. Now, I don't have a PhD. So somebody may come and say, well, where's your PhD? You know what? Blow it out your ear. I don't have time for this argument because you have to understand, some of us, without a PhD, we might have some other knowledge that you're unaware of. I have done numerous studies in nutrition as well as herbal medicine, as well as essential oils. I've done a wide range of studies. I've done a lot of personal research. So take it for what it is. I mean, if you really want to go down that rabbit hole, there's always one doctor who doesn't graduate at the top, right? But that's not to insult doctors, because first of all, for them to become a doctor, they have to pass a very intense, rigorous exam. So I don't judge them on that. All I judge is treat me like a human being, respect me, and I keep shaking the table, I'm so sorry. but also respect all your patients, most especially the ones that know their body really well. And all patients want is somebody who'll be transparent with them and honest. But if you're a patient, that's all they want from you. So we've all gone through a horrible 2 years. And I don't think we should be going through this anymore. I think we, as consumers, need to put a stop to it. But if you want to improve your health, know about the products you're putting into your body. So you want to take these supplements, and now you might change your mind. If you change your mind, I'm not here to make you. This is your choice. It's like I tell my adult kids, if they ask me about something, I'll say, well, this is what I know, and here are some resources, and they go for it. And no, I'm not going to go and plug in all my resources. You know why? Because you're an adult, you're intelligent enough to do research. That's the greatest thing about technology. You have the opportunity. How you use the technology, whether to use information that's wrong or to use good, that's up to you. So I leave it up to you to make that decision. But I also ask you, if you want to get off all your supplements and you're saying, well, I eat really well, I eat this, 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 and this, I say the same thing. Now, but does that mean I don't buy crackers instead of make them? No, I buy crackers. Do we eat a lot? Not. My husband eats more because he takes them to work with peanut butter or to have with his sandwich instead of having potato chips. That's just our choice. And yeah, we have potato chips maybe twice a year. We're just not... Do we like them? Yeah. But because we like them so much, they don't like us. So we try to keep that. Whatever. So what I'm getting at, and I know I got sidetracked there, if you're going to be proactive in your health and you're going to now research what supplements you take, you're going to have that conversation with your doctor as, what do I need? Because now you're going to go and get the blood work that they request you to take. And no, you don't ever have to do the blood work they recommend. That's your choice too. But when you do it and they say, oh, you're low in iron, you don't necessarily have to go get an iron supplement. First, take a look at the foods that you are eating or not eating. And you can ask that question, what foods are high in iron? And I'm just using iron as an example. And they should be able to pull it up on their screen and tell you, these are some foods. If they don't know off the top of their head, remember, physicians have oodles and oodles of information in their head. So we need to give them a little leeway to be able to help us. Most of them have a lot of knowledge that they can tell you right off the top of their head. And I've had some that'll bring up Google into a page that they respectfully can share information with us. And so, if anything of all of this, I hope you learned that communication with your care provider, and it doesn't matter if it's an MD, DO, it really doesn't make a difference. If it's a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, it doesn't matter. Whoever is that primary care provider, be transparent. Allow them to get to know you for how you're taking care of your body, because their job is to help you. They don't want to see you there every month. And I'll tell you, as a patient who was it seemed like I was always at the clinics, I did not enjoy going. I still don't enjoy going to the doctors. Worse now. For the past 2 years, I don't want to use hate, but I don't like going at all. And but that's part of it. But so hopefully this was insightful. It really struck a chord with me when I read this article, and I hope that you will take the time to look at your products, find out where they're being manufactured, find out if you can order locally or order here in the States. Go to your health food stores. Make sure they're reputable. I cannot say the ones I wouldn't buy from, but I know that the natural food store that I go to, a very reputable store. And I think if you're smart like that and you don't go and buy from, can't say that either because people get mad at me. Just be alert to what you are purchasing. And, I see I'm not smiling. I'm sorry. This is serious to me, and I care about people. I care about my husband dearly. I care about me. I care about my kids and grandchildren. And I care about many people. And even though I'm direct, people might not think that I do. I do. And I just hope that you care about you. I hope you care about your family, because the healthier we are, the longer we'll be here. And we never know what day or time God's going to take us from this earth. But while we're here, we can live to the fullest. We can live with joy. And we can just try to be healthy so we can do all that fun stuff with others. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. It's been almost an hour, and I didn't really want it to be, but I kind of had a feeling it could go to an hour. And take some inventory of your choices. And I am not lecturing. I am not criticizing, because we all have our own lifestyles and choices to make. And I just hope that you might just think about a little bit of that. And to have a doctor say that these things are not being well monitored should make you question. And I hope that you do. So I'm going to leave you. I hope that you have a fabulous day tomorrow. And I hope the sun is bright and that your time with family, friends, because tomorrow is Sunday for me. And I'm hoping to get this uploaded tonight. So by the time it gets uploaded, it might be Sunday. But I do hope and pray that life gets better for all of us. So may God bless you, and I hope you sleep well and have a great evening. Good night.